deal the Orioles made on Thursday was a bit of a lightning rod. Cedric Mullins going to the Mets in exchange for three right-handed pitchers in Raimon Gomez, Raimon Gomez, Anthony Nunez, and Chandler Marsh. Now, Mullins, just to acknowledge what he did during his time here, the first and so far only Oriole to have a 30-30 season. Good presence for this team and made a slew of highlight reel catches that Orioles fans are going to remember for years to come. You look at the production this year, he got off to a hot start at the plate before really cooling off. And defensive metrics don't match what the eye test tells us with Mullins' defense in a lot of cases, because it's showing that he has taken a step back. And I know that that's hard for a lot of fans to believe. And honestly, I don't even know how much stock I put in those numbers, but it does tell us, they do tell us that he has taken a little bit of a step back. And in return, I don't think that the Orioles get a can't miss prospect in this trade by any means. It's really three kind of interesting lottery tickets, with Gomez being the one that has caught most people's attention. Has hit 105 with the fastball this year. The stuff on it grades out very well. However, he has clear-cut command issues. So let's start with, first of all, the fact the Orioles move on from Mullins, but then looking at Gomez, because if you took a dive into the data with these pitchers, Gomez, I'm sure, is the one that stood out, and he's undeniably intriguing, but he also has a pretty clear and glaring flaw in his game right now.
Yeah, big fan of this trade. Honestly, a lot of people didn't think that we'd be able to get anything for Mullins the way he had performed up until this final week. I think this last week, what a way to go out on top. I mean, making three tremendous catches, robbing 2 home runs. I think he had, I don't even know, he was hitting bombs, doubles. He was lighting it up this week to really get that value back up. And thank you, Cedric. I completely understand, guys, people that are sad that Mullins is gone, but it's a business. He gets to go compete for a World Series, and we get to get a couple guys who could help the team out in the future. I mean, I love Mullins too. He loves Baltimore. Hey, when his playing career is over, bring him in as a coach, whatever you got to do, if that's what he wants to do. But yeah, Raimon Gomez, oh my God, just the stuff plus numbers. I think it was a TJ Stats that Nick posted on Twitter. The four seam it's averages 100.2. Like you said, touched 104.5. Usually when it's a high velocity guy, the hoppiness, the IVB, the inverted break or whatever, is on the low side, a little more dead zone flat. Now 17 IVB, which is crazy for an averaging 100 mile per hour fastball. Grades out to a 115 stuff plus, slider 122 stuff plus, averaging 90 miles per hour, sinker 108 stuff plus, curveball 109 stuff plus, cutter 103 stuff plus. I'm like, are they going to stretch this guy out into a starter? No, they're not going to, just because, like you said, the command issues, and I think they'll just let it rip, because I think he's got to be added to the Rule 5 or the 40 man to be protected from the Rule 5 this offseason if they want to do that. But talking about an electric arm, this is what I'm saying when I was talking earlier. Guys like Twine, Palmer, and Raimon Gomez, like, oh my God, and Arcena, these guys are just absurd, like just the nastiest pitchers. I think I also saw that the Orioles, between Arcena and now Gomez, got the 2 fastest pitches thrown, or the 2 pitchers with the biggest velocity in the Florida State League. Brought him to Baltimore. Yeah, love it. I mean, we'll see what they could do with him, rein it in, but I'm excited to see what happens.
Yeah. 2 of these 3 guys that got back for Cedric Mullins are actually going to have to be Rule 5 eligible this offseason. So something to pay attention to there. We'll talk about the other 2 guys as well. But first with Mullins, like I'm pretty cold-hearted when it comes to this stuff, to be honest. But even I know tomorrow, once my head's done spinning and all the craziness that was today, I turn on an Orioles game tomorrow and I watch it, like, and Mullins isn't there, like, it's going to feel weird, right? Like, he's going to be an Oriole for life. We know that. We all know that. Potential future Orioles Hall of Famer. And I've never heard anybody say a bad thing about Cedric Mullins. So wish him all the best. Of course, wish we could watch him win a World Series here in Baltimore and not have to watch him go win one in New York. But, of course, wish him all the best. But with the guys that are here now, Gomez, he only signed for $10,000 in 2022. He has already had Tommy John surgery in 2023. So he missed all of 2024. So this is his first full year back, and he's like, I'm going to throw 104.5 miles per hour. No big deal. I think the arm's good after surgery. I don't know what they did to that arm, but it's a matter of being able to find the strike zone. But when he is in the zone, like, it is almost virtually unhittable. Like, this is the 100+ mile per hour with the 17+ inches of induced vertical break is one thing, but then he also has 7 feet of extension on top of that. That fastball is going to come at you so fast. I don't know how even major league hitters are going to pick it up. And actually, the big thing with the Gomez, why I'm like, at first you're like, he's not going to be able to throw strikes. I don't know about this one. Is this just a flyer that they're tacking on at the end of the deal? Maybe a Nunez or Marsh is the guy the Orioles were really targeting in this deal. But Baseball America reshared this article today. JJ Cooper wrote it back in April, I think it was, when he threw that 104.5 mile per hour pitch. I don't know if you guys saw this article or if anybody else has seen this, but JJ Cooper wrote, since 2021, there have been 30 pitchers to hit 102 miles per hour or faster in the minor leagues. Of those 30 pitchers, 21 of them reached the major leagues. Of the 9 who haven't reached the major leagues yet, 5 of them are on top 30 list, and only 1 of them is out of baseball. And that list includes guys like Felix Bautista, Paul Skeens, Johan Duran, Mason Miller, Hunter Green, and some others. But he said in that piece, quote, there's no cutoff to ignore flamethrowers who walk everyone, Gomez. Even the straightest 102 mile per hour pitch makes the list. Pitchers who throw this hard get chance after chance after chance to figure it out. And eventually, most who are in the major leagues do figure it out. Some become stars. Some have only brief success, but they're going to keep getting that chance because it's velo means one thing above all else. They're going to get to the major leagues. And when you throw that hard with that extension and all that data on that fastball, like, teams are going to keep giving you an opportunity to throw strikes, even at just the slightest bit clip necessary to have sustained success. So I'm very intrigued. But yeah, he is Rule 5 eligible, so expect to see him on the 40-man roster in the next couple of months.
Yeah, I mean, the Padres traded for Mason Miller. Apparently, so do we. So let's go. Man, could you imagine if Felix Bautista didn't get hurt? I think fans might even be more upset today. But we would have had a pretty nice return on that deal if it would have happened.
What I kind of see with Gomez right now is that if the command doesn't improve itself, he could still have a shot at getting to the big leagues as one of those guys who is an up and down pitcher that probably moves around a lot in his career, especially while he's still optionable, because there's always going to be a team out there that thinks, okay, we can fix the command. And if we can't, we've got a guy that throws 102 to 105. And we'll, just hope that he has more good days than bad over a small sample size before we option him to AAA and get someone else for the job. But there's undeniable upside here if the Orioles can figure the command out. The Rule 5 situation, I will say, is not ideal because we're talking about a pitcher who has not pitched above high A yet. Nick, as you just mentioned, this is his first full season of pro ball. And the Orioles already have a tight Rule 5 squeeze as it is. And that brings me to the player that I think I actually like the most in this deal, and that's Anthony Nunez. Nunez has a really interesting background. Eric Longenhagen noted this in his report over at Fangraphs, where he ranked Nunez 18th in the Mets farm system. Nunez was actually drafted by the Padres out of high school as a shortstop in 2019. He was released 2 years later, but a loophole and NCAA rule exemptions allowed him to go play college baseball so long as it was not at a Division I school. He attends Division II, University of Tampa, moves to the mound, and then ends up with the Mets after signing there last summer. Repertoire right now is fastball, slider, changeup, cutter. Not a ton of velocity on the fastball, but he does a good job locating it. There could be room perhaps to add a little bit more velo, especially as the Orioles bring him into their system. The slider grades out as a really good offering, as does the cutter. And the changeup, not his best pitch, but as I've said before, I think the Orioles can work with a guy with a fringy changeup and get something out of him. Nunez has pitched at high A and double A this year. His numbers at double A had been pretty good. He's also Rule 5 eligible after this season. And given that he is 24, could get AAA by the end of this year, I have to think he's going to be in that conversation come fall.
Yeah, this one, looking at his baseball reference page afterwards, you're like, there's this gap. And I was like, what, did he go to indie ball? Like get cut, try indie ball. Now he's back with them. That's what's going on. And I saw that story about, no, he went to college after playing a couple of years in the Padres organization. It was pretty awesome to see that he has reinvented himself as a pitcher and is already in AA in his first pro season. But yeah, in that furthermore to that Fangraphs report there, Eric Longenhagen calls him a future plus command of a monster slider, might be able to pitch in high leverage situation, thanks mostly to that, and that he's been utterly dominant all year and is a virtual lock to be put on a 40-man roster this offseason. So clearly, many in the industry think very highly of Nunez. They say, yeah, he's 24, but this going back to that part of with the pitching prospect specifically, age doesn't really matter that much. There's very, very, very low mileage on that arm. This is a fresh pitcher who he only started pitching his final year at college. He went to Tampa. So 2024 is when he started pitching. He's only been doing it for a year or so. The 40-man roster situation, Cedric Mullins bringing two guys back on the 40-man that are Rule 5 eligible this offseason, I think does speak to the value that Mullins was going to bring back in a trade. But you see that good command, you see a potential plus slider, you see two other really good offerings at least. Could be something here. A guy who can contribute out of the bullpen in the major leagues potentially next year if all goes right.
Yeah, even cooler is the fact that Nunez was travel ball teammates with Kobe Mayo and Enrique Bradfield Jr. So just come on home, join your buddies, your old buddies in the Orioles organization. Yeah, really cool story. And yeah, it seems like he's definitely going to be added to the 40-man. I don't think you trade for him. And honestly, Gomez too. I just don't think the Orioles would have targeted these guys if they weren't going to put them on the 40-man roster this offseason. And another, I guess, silver lining of the way the season went is that you're going to have probably plenty of room to put them on there. So yeah, I like it. If that slider is as good as, it must be, because his opponent's batting average in high A this year was 0.64. In double A, it was 141. 40% strikeout percentage between the two levels combined, 11% walk rate. So, of course, he's only been pitching for a year or so. Of course, the walks are going to have to come down, but you got to think he's going to get better too. It's almost like the Juan Nunez case where you're an athlete and you're new to pitching, that he should be healthy for a while. That's one good thing, knock on wood. But yeah, it's a very interesting arm. We'll see what he can do and get him up here to the MedStar Health building up in Bel Air and cook him in the lab. And let's see what happens in 2026.